The ant people of the Hopi. The Hopi Indians have lived in the high desert of northern Arizona for thousands of years. This barren but beautiful landscape was the place where Hopi gods directed them to build a number of villages made up of pueblos, what we today would call stone apartment complexes. Here, the Hopi managed to flourish by simply growing corn, beans, and squash with very little rainfall and almost no irrigation. One of the most intriguing Hopi legends involves the ant people, who were crucial to the Hopi survival, not just once but twice. The so-called First World, or World Age, was apparently destroyed by fire, possibly some sort of volcanism, asteroid strike, or coronal mass ejection from the sun. The Second World was destroyed by ice age glaciers or a pole shift. During these two global cataclysms, the virtuous members of the Hopi tribe were guided by an odd-shaped cloud during the day and a moving star at night that led them to the sky god named Sachinang, who finally took them to the ant people, in Hopi, Anu-Naki. The ant people then escorted the Hopi into subterranean caves, where they found refuge and sustenance. In this legend, the ant people are portrayed as generous and industrious, giving the Hopi food when supplies ran short and teaching them the merits of food storage. In fact, another legend says that the reason why the ants have such thin waists today is that they once deprived themselves of provisions in order to feed the Hopi. The constellation Orion also has a thin waist. When Orion dominates the winter skies, the ants are deep in their small underground hills. These structures are similar in form to the Hopi kivas, which are subterranean communal prayer chambers. Coincidentally, the Sanskrit word ki means ant hill, and va means dwelling. Each February, inside their kivas, the Hopi perform the bean sprouting ceremony, or bean dance, called Palmum. During this time, the fires are continuously kept ablaze, turning these structures into superb hothouses. The ritual commemorates a time when the Anu-Naki taught the Hopi how to sprout beans inside caverns in order to survive. It is interesting to note that the Babylonian sky god was named Anu. The Hopi word for ant is also Anu, and the Hopi root word Naki means friends. Thus, the Hopi Anu-Naki, or ant friends, may have been the same as the Sumerian Anu-Naki, the beings who once came to earth from the heavens. The ant people may have also lived in ancient Egypt. Akhenaten, the 18th dynasty pharaoh who ruled from 1351 to 1334 BC, is shown in some depictions with an elongated skull like the shape of an ant's head. His almond-shaped eyes and neck are like the ant's, and either the serpent or the vulture on his uraeus resembles the ant's mandibles. He also has spindly arms and legs like those of the ant, and his upper body resembles the ant's thorax while his lower body mirrors the ant's abdomen. Akhenaten's body type can be specifically compared to the pharaoh ant, Momorium pharaonis, which originated in West Africa. It also has an elongated head, a yellow to reddish-brown body, and a darker abdomen with a stinger. Perhaps it is more than a coincidence that the Egyptian word Sahu means stars of Orion, whereas the Hopi word Sohu means star, the most important of which are those in the constellation, Orion. His constellation is seen repeatedly across the globe. According to ancient astronaut theorists, Orion and other systems such as the Pleiades appear repeatedly in the layout of pyramids and ancient structures. Another coincidence? In the Hopi legend, these ant people were their saviors, taking them underground and teaching them how to survive two extreme cataclysms. Once again, we see stories of a great flood like the described in Sumerian texts and the Bible. Surviving underground with the ant people, the Hopi ancestors learned how to grow food with little water and build dwellings in the rocks. They learned about the stars and mathematics and would put those skills to use when they founded a new civilization. When it was safe to return to the surface, the ant people instructed the building of incredibly complex habitations, such as what is seen today at Chaco Canyon. From above, they might appear like a giant ant mound. The structures included kivas, a Hopi word for round, semi-subterranean ceremonial rooms that were entered by ladders from above. During ceremonies today, The ritual emergence of participants from the kiva into the plaza above represents the original emergence by Puebloan groups from the underworld into the current world. Petroglyphs depicting the Ant people still appear today, and the Hopi continue to tell the story in dances and rituals. One of the most intriguing Hopi legends involves the Ant people, who were crucial to the survival of the Hopi, not just once but twice. The so-called First World, or World Age, was apparently destroyed by fire, possibly some sort of volcanism, asteroid strike, or coronal mass ejection from the sun. The Second World was destroyed by ice age glaciers or a pole shift. During these two global cataclysms, the virtuous members of the Hopi tribe were guided by an odd-shaped cloud during the day and a moving star at night that led them to the sky god named Sachinang, who finally took them to the Ant people, in Hopi, Anu-Naki. The Ant people then escorted the Hopi into subterranean caves where they found refuge and sustenance. Stories that giants and other strange beings have lived deep inside the earth are seen around the globe. In the Hopi legend, these beings were benevolent and helped the tribe even to their own detriment. In this legend, the Ant people are portrayed as generous and industrious, giving the Hopi food when supplies ran short and teaching them the merits of food storage. In fact, another legend says that the reason why the ants have such thin waists today is that they once deprived themselves of provisions in order to feed the Hopi. The thin-waisted ants, with their elongated heads and antennae, resemble some of the ancient petroglyphs. Across the globe, an African species of ant called the pharaoh ant reminds some of a tiny version of Pharaoh Akhenaten, famous for his strange alien appearance. The History Channel's Ancient Aliens series covers this subject in Series 4, Episode 9. In addition to depictions of the Ant people, there are wall paintings that show an unmistakable similarity to cuneiform symbols from ancient Sumeria. These symbols are associated with the wing makers, according to the show. Just as in ancient Egypt, there were matriarchal dynasties, and DNA findings from Chaco Canyon show a possible maternal dynasty that ruled for hundreds of years between A.D. 800 and 1250. Scientific American published a story on this in 2017 after researchers examined the remains of 14 people found in a burial crypt that ended up at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. The Chaco Canyon settlement had thousands of Anasazi inhabitants who believed in protecting Mother Earth. However, the ancient Puebloans mysteriously disappeared, along with any signs of the Ant people. Today, researchers believe that climate change drove them away because the growing population couldn't sustain itself. The Anasazi integrated with tribes like the Hopi, Zuni, and Rio Grande Pueblo. As the modern world faces extreme challenges from climate change, the teachings of these tribes are more important than ever. Can we learn to respect the natural world and live in harmony with Mother Earth? Or are we headed for inevitable disasters like those described in the Hopi legends? Ancient astronaut theorists often speculated if extraterrestrial beings could play a part in helping humans overcome impending future disasters. In the case of the Hopi legends, it appears they did just that. Could the Ant people return from deep within the earth or from their homes in the stars in our time of need?